What's poppin', y'all? It's looking spooky for A$AP Rocky, a.k.a. Pretty Flacco, a.k.a. what the hell happened to A$AP? A lot of people dropped that tag. Ferg is just going by Ferg now, and now Ian Connor is going up against him. Now, for those of you that are somewhat unfamiliar, Ian Connor was the it guy, it boy, whatever you want to call it, of underground hip-hop / fashion, streetwear culture. He was underneath Virgil. He was underneath Rocky. He was A$AP affiliated. He might as well have just been A$AP. In the early 2010s, so around like 2013 is when things were really popping off for him. He was in the Shabba Ranks video. He's been close to A$AP, and he's looked up to A$AP Rocky for a very long time. Barry's the one who initially brought Ian Connor in. So there's been an A$AP Rocky snippet and him working with Space Ghost Perp that's been circulating. And an account posted the A$AP Rocky snippet that's been floating around these past few days was produced by Space Ghost Perp, confirmed by A$AP Ills. A$AP Ills is one of the founders of A$AP. Rocky's not a founder. He was just like the first rapper that they got on. Looks like Don't Be Dumb may have some Space Ghost Perp production credits. And this set Ian Connor off. And he says, I don't know if y'all aware, but Rocky ain't doing nothing but D-sucking Cardi, and Cardi even doing anything with Perp was an indirect diss to Rocky in the first place. I'm gonna tell y'all the truth, nobody likes each other over on this side. When I say Flacco ain't who y'all think he is, that dude is gay. And this is crazy because Space Ghost Perp, if for those that are unfamiliar, they were locked in. So at the time, A$AP was up top, northeast, New York crew. Space Ghost Perp had this whole underground crew called Raider Clan. Young Simi, people like Denzel Curry, who's popular now, people like Bones. Who else? There was another girl on there whose name is escaping me. If I give it a couple of seconds, it might re-enter my mind. But they were moving and shaking down there. Oh, Rob Banks as well. They were moving and shaking, and Space Ghost Perp was collaborating with Rocky. So that early sound Space Ghost Perp helped develop. And that whole like dark, blacked out, goth money, like aesthetic that A$AP became known for and popularized, they started that. It was Raider Clan and Space Ghost Perp. But they had a falling out, and Perp lost his mind and at the same time got blackballed. But recently, a snippet surfaced of Cardi working with Space Ghost Perp. Cardi looked up to Space Ghost Perp. Cardi was on the side of Raider Clan and SGP, Space Ghost Perp, versus A$AP Rocky way back when. So this is history for me right here. Like seeing these things develop. I'm trying to give you guys as much historical context as I can because I know there's a lot of people that are fans of these guys but don't really know how far back it goes. Maybe you're young and you weren't there and there isn't that much material on it. I did do a ton of videos about it in the past though, but this is like 8 years ago. And then somebody says, why would that be a Rocky disc if they squash beef? They're talking about beef being squashed between Rocky and Space Ghost Perp, which would be very weird because a lot of insults have been hurled back and forth, really mostly from Space Ghost Perp because his light was killed before it could even really like spread. Ain't no beef squashed. He didn't want Perp to resurge when he the one who even brought him in the game and someone else get the fruits of benefit for piping him back up. He don't even respect nor like Perp, but bruh sure enough is making his way back around. And he says him and Rocky were literally in the studio in March. And then he said fake love out of fear exists. And he says I just hate fake-ish. If I help build it, I can destroy it if I please. I literally know all and everything. Flacco knows. You need to grow up and stop all that fearful D-sucking. Ain't no majority rules over here. I do me. And then he says, does this mean he might be in the studio with Travis Scott now? If you guys are unfamiliar, Travis Scott and A$AP have had a long-standing beef. It was really subs here and there, but you guys recall there was an infamous clip where people called Travis Scott A$AP Rocky, and he's like, yo, I'm not no A$AP, and he spazzed out on them. Travis Scott didn't like Rocky, although he looked up to Rocky. You could tell by the aesthetic. You could tell by the time. Like, you could just tell Travis Scott, OG Chess, the Classmates EP, just the covers and the fashion that Travis had at the time, the braids that he was growing out at the time. That was all inspired by A$AP. And it was Houston influence, a lot of old school Houston influence in Rocky's music, and Travis Scott was from Houston. So Ian continues and says, nah, Trav not hearing that because he too powered up now. Nast and Rocky called themselves bullying that man when he was still coming up, and he never forgot, as he shouldn't. And now he got the last laugh, career and money-wise. But he plays it cordial, but he looks down on them dudes. Ian Connor was really tapped in with Travis Scott. Scott. At the time when Ian Connor was blown up, this is before Owl Pharaoh even came out, which was the debut mixtape, solo mixtape by Travis Scott. Ian Connor was posted up with him. If you guys remember, Ruby Rose, she was quote-unquote dating Playboy Cardi, Ian Connor, and Travis Scott. I don't know which started with which, but that just goes to show you, I'm pretty sure Travis linked with her through Ian Connor. So Ian continues, I thought this was known when Perp crashed out on live saying everyone from ASAP Mob was fake and Rocky D-wrote everyone to make himself known after he lost relevancy for himself. And Ian says, Rocky is a sheep disguised as a shepherd. That dude just handsome and knows how to dress, so we give him unnecessary credit when you think about it. Is really not due. Who the F listened to bro past Live Love ASAP, for real, past his eye for visuals thereafter. And I did love At Long Last ASAP, to be fair. Now, did it hit like Live Love ASAP? Absolutely not. But he is right that the visuals and songs like music videos for songs like LSD and music videos for songs like I Saw, the song with Skepta. It's escaping me right now. And then he goes to say, bruh's the equivalent to a bee with a fat behind, good style, but ugly face, music. And I just thought about this the other day as well, because somebody was saying, A$AP Rocky is so good at making crazy music videos and everything sounds good, but it's saying nothing. And realistically, like, the guy's passion, he has a passion for fashion, although he's never had his own line or anything like that. And that's visuals. It's not much depth. Now, there can be depth to fashion and brands, of course, but Rocky's, it's just mostly taste. That's what it is. And then somebody says, every public figure that lost a majority of their clout and the money is running low resorts to clout chasing with actions like this one. The emojis he used are also a clear indication of projection. Standard playbook move. This really isn't true with Ian Connor. Ian is a very weird character in the sense that the guy is quite principled. Like, when he had issues with ASAP Bari, he ran down on Bari, and I believe they caught a fade in Paris, or was it Harlem? And I think Virgil Abloh was there too. So Ian Connor, I don't know if he's emotional, impulsive, but if he feels wronged or if he feels that something is wrong according to his principles, he's gonna say it, regardless of if he's up, if he's down, or anything else. And he even goes on to say, I'm not even gonna lie, but I'm as rich as I ever been. I'm just too scared to show certain ish. People don't even know where I live. I'm that disconnected. I'm just simply in place and position to where I don't have to play the game anymore or align myself with things that don't benefit me mentally. I will never ever lie to some strangers on the internet about something that in the long run doesn't even affect y'all past entertainment or awareness. And then he says Rocky signed Cardi, which is one of the most ignorant things I had ever seen. He says Ian signed Cardi through Rocky. If you guys recall, Ian Connor's the reason Cardi blew up. Like, the guy's email back then was playboyconnor@gmail.com. He was managing him. He was dressing Cardi. He was getting Cardi like complex music covers, which actually mattered at that point. It was like 2014, 2015. Like these taste maker magazines and things like that. Complex still had a strong bit of clout, especially that Supreme-ish era. It was the transition from the swag era, Tumblr-esque, into more of the, I would say, like, not fashion, but there was that like Supreme Bape aesthetic for these underground rappers, and Cardi was one of them. And they had these blogs like Complex following around Supreme. That was like some of Supreme's biggest years, or last big years. And Ian Connor signed him through Rocky, so that's how he got on AUG, and he was managing him before that until they officially signed, I think in 2016, whenever the first tape dropped, or 2017, but they signed, I believe, in 2016. And he says, so instead of throwing shots, tell us what happened. He's like, I don't even want to get that personal just yet. It's leg room. If you're reading this, it's not too late. And this clearly shots at Rocky. And then somebody says, yo, can y'all get on a call? He says, I'm grown, homie. And he shows a DM exchange from A$AP Rocky, and this is a crazy spam. FaceTime me right now before my flight. He sends him an audio call at 12:19 a.m., 12:20 a.m., again at 12:20 a.m., again at 12:20 a.m. And he says, just hit me when you land and settled. Or better yet, I'll fly to you and holla face to face. He says, I'm flying to New York City. Text me. And like I said earlier, he would fly to him face to face. We saw him do that with Bart. And actually, who was it? Was it he caught the fade with Bari? And I know there was something going on with Theophilus London at that time as well. But Rocky's spamming him. I think Rocky was panicking because Rocky's looking at it like, yo, this flight's about to go up. This guy's spamming Twitter. I don't know what's going to happen when I land on this flight. flight. He says, I'll never understand how people be around each other for years, then all of a sudden it's pure hatred. How long did you feel this way? He says, I have zero hate in my heart. I still love everyone. I'm just not tolerable to BS, especially if it was some wrongdoings along the way. And then somebody, in an attempt to try to prove that Travis Scott and A$AP Rocky don't hate each other, posts this clip of Travis Scott saying free Rocky. And then Ian says he was also saying free Palestine because it was trendy. See where I'm going with this? Yeah, Travis Scott is a brand, man. He's going to say something that's going to benefit the brand. And then he goes on to say, by the way, everything was sponsored by a bipolar episode earlier where I have no choice but to tell the truth when I get very passionate or offended by something. It was nothing personal, at least on the surface. And he didn't delete any of the tweets. This guy don't be deleting tweets like that either. So it's not like he got emotional and sent it and it's like, damn, I regret it or I lied. It's still up. And he continues, and by the way, Rocky for show made me, but he weaponized me. I was meant to be something else to his benefit. I simply just strayed from the path as any boy that embraces being his own man would do. I don't do no majority rules, fake kicking, convenient, friend-ish. If it's true, I'm going to call it out with no fear every time. And then somebody calls him out, says if you were a real one, you wouldn't come on the internet spilling business with random kids, blah, blah, blah. He says, you got to bait a rat with cheese sometimes. That's all I'm going to say. And then somebody asks him one of the follow-ups from earlier. Says, genuine question, how did you making that post benefit you mentally? And if you don't have to play the game anymore, why post something like that? Isn't that a contradiction in itself? This is somebody grasping at straws, but he actually gave him some time of day. And he says, because I can't stand to see somebody I looked up to be so weak of a man. I hate false idols. It's like the biggest gangster from your hood you grew up looking to going to jail and finding out he getting played in there. Like, don't instill in me something that's not even in you. I think the situation, and then of course somebody says, no glaze, but paying homage when feeling like somebody did you wrong is too honorable. This is so foreign to internet society and industry heads. He says, we not finna rewrite history. Bruh, I actually love Nas so much. Certain ish just hurt me when it come to blood specifically. This is a thing too. A lot of people are missing context and information regarding why Ian Connor would even lash out in this manner, including myself. And that's why I reserve judgment. I'm just judging by Ian Connor's past behavior. There's really been no record of him snaking anybody that he considered close to him. There is record of him doing scummy behavior, maybe like, stealing people's stuff, or I don't know, there was like some situation with a hat where he just took someone's hat and threw him the money for it, which, people have their own opinions on that. However, Ian Connor, he has always been people that put somebody on. So for instance, like he said, he looked up to Rocky and he instilled something in him. And then if he sees Rocky as a hater of people that Rocky put on, Ian Connor's looking at him like, yo, what the hell? What's wrong with you? Why are you hating? Because Ian Connor, now I want to understand what the issue between Cardi and A$AP Rocky is. Now Cardi's worked with Travis, so perhaps maybe the Fiend thing was the first shot that Cardi took towards A$AP Rocky. Yeah. Green and Purple was dropped by Travis Scott, and it had A$AP Rocky back in, 2017? But, and Houdini as well in 2020. But the real big deal was Fiend, which is still like one of the biggest songs ever. And then there was a lot of collaborations with them on music. However, we didn't really see any collaborations with A$AP Rocky, which was a common thing before. Their collaborations really ended in 2017. You had Cozy Tapes Volume 2. You had New Choppa, which A$AP Rocky was on in 2017. And you had them both appearing on the Lana Del Rey album, Lust for Life, on the song Summer Bummer. Ever since then, we haven't seen them work together on music. Now, everyone can give their own opinion as to why. We didn't see Cardi on Testing either, so I'm not sure what happened there. I don't know if this is a new thing, but yeah, that's around the same time that Rocky also started distancing himself from everybody else. There's a lot that we don't know. Like, why did Ferg leave A$AP? These things, maybe like they were looking to Rocky to lead, but once Rocky got into this situation with Rihanna, he just didn't want to take the mantle anymore, and then things fell apart and people were like, yo, let's just all do our own thing. I don't know. That's just me speculating. But let me know what y'all think about this in the comments. Like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell if you enjoyed, and I'm gonna see y'all on the next one.